Hello everybody and welcome back to another Logan Blackman Show YouTube video. We are back, ladies and gentlemen. When I say we are back, we are here showing my beautiful face once again. It's been a long ass time. It's been since December since you have seen my beautiful face, and I know it's been hard for you guys, but we're going to try and be more consistent on the YouTube channel. We got some United States games coming up. The World Cup's getting close. The NFL Draft's getting closer. There's a lot of stuff that we can talk about today, and make sure before we get into anything that we're going to talk about today, make sure to check out all the links down in the description below, and make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel and give this video a thumbs up if you're already enjoying it. But if you're not a trusting individual, I don't blame you. I don't like things before I try them either, but if you want to wait till the end, that's fine. I will remind you to do so. Give the video a thumbs up and leave a comment down below on how you feel about the video, how you feel about the United States chances in these friendlies, how you feel about life in general. It doesn't matter to me. Just let me know down in the comment section below. And speaking of the United States, got a couple friendlies coming up against Belgium and Portugal. These are the final two games for the United States men's national team prior to releasing the official squad for the 2026 World Cup, which again is so damn close to happening. It's so weird to think about that the World Cup is almost here. Here we are, ladies and gentlemen. These games against Portugal and Belgium, they're like, we don't really cover friendlies on this YouTube channel. We usually stick with like the competitive fixtures, the knockout football, and all that great stuff. We stick with those. This is the first time that I've done friendly games, but again, I think these games are important for the development of the United States squad for what it looks like in the 2026 World Cup. And if you're just looking at first glance at this current squad, you would go like, well, this is probably really close to what the actual squad will look like for the World Cup. And just for reference, FIFA announced that you need to announce your preliminary squad on May 11th. It's due on May 11th, and your final squad has to be due before May 30th. And the United States has some friendlies on the 31st of May and another one after that. I can't remember when exactly they are, but they got some more friendlies after that with the squad getting put together and all that great stuff. So we'll talk about those as well. And also, the United States got some nice kits, but that's not important. That's not important. Back to what we were just talking about the squad. If you're looking at this squad for the United States men's national team, you would probably look at it and go, it's probably not that far off from the squad that we're going to see prior to May 30th. Like, if you're looking at this, there's three names that aren't included. They're all out due to injury, and that's Tyler Adams, just got a little knock, so nothing too serious. Jorginho Dest's got a hamstring injury. He's going to be out till about early to mid-April. And then Haji Wright, who's been balling out for Coventry City this year in the championship, he's out as well. So you've got three big names for the United States that are out, and in replacing them, you got Aiden Morris, who's been balling out for Middlesbrough this season in the championship. He's played 16 games in 2026. He's played all 90 minutes in all of them barring 4. Dude needs a break. Yes, even the most fit people in the world need breaks every once in a while, but he's been playing fantastic for them in the championship. And you look at Haji Wright. Speaking of another guy who's been playing well and scoring goals in the championship, Patrick Ajimeng for Derby County. He's been a guy that drew a lot of ire from United States men's national team fans last summer during the Gold Cup. And it's, it's not hard to see why he's a very unorthodox striker in a very, like, if you had to compare to, like, just play style, I'm not comparing them as players individually and exactly, like, this is exactly who they are and what he's going to become and all that stuff, but it's very, like, unsexy, I guess you could say, kind of like a Romelu Lukaku, who's not going to be playing in this squad for Belgium. We'll talk about that here in a little bit, but he's not a striker you look at and go like, oh, that's appealing. That's like, he scores, but it's super awkward, it's super clunky, but he's so freaking raw. And the fact that he was playing for the United States and scoring some very gross goals, I guess you could say, kind of rubbed some people the wrong way. So there weren't a lot of people that were excited to see what he was going to do. If you would have looked at Twitter when he first moved to Derby County, you went in the comment section and saw what the United States fans were saying down there. A lot of them were saying that they wanted him to fail. If you would have looked back at that time, or prior to, let's go back like 2 years or something, and said that Patrick Ajimeng has a better chance by a country mile to make the World Cup squad than Josh Sargent, I don't even think he's really in the picture at this point in time, but Patrick Ajimeng has a chance to make some noise in this squad. And you look at he's competing with the likes of Folarin Balogun, who's been on freaking fire this season so far. These past few games, he scored 7 goals in 7 games, scored 2 against PSG in the Champions League, did get an assist in there as well, but he's been on freaking fire. Ricardo Pepi been battling injuries, which is not a surprise to anybody. And this move to Fulham, I'm getting kind of tired of hearing about it, where it's like, A few months ago, it was like, oh, Ricardo Pepi, breaking news, he's moving to Fulham. Actually, Fulham's going to back out of the deal. And then just last week, oh, the deal's back on. And then just the other day, oh, they're out of the deal again. So there's going to be some serious battles with those striker positions, but I would imagine at this point in time that Balogun's spot is all, Balogun's spot's been locked up ever since he announced he was going to represent the United States at international level. But then you got Haji Wright. So I think that battle between Agyemang and Ricardo Pepi is a very interesting one. Both have 10 goals to their name this season, but it's going to be a very interesting battle. And depending on who you ask, there were some people a few months ago that said Ricardo Pepi is the best striker the United States has at their disposal. So it's a very interesting one. And I don't think a lot of people would have thought we'd be having this conversation a few months ago, given what Patrick Agyemang was looking like at the Gold Cup. So all that being said, we also got, again, Serginho Dest is out. And if you're looking at the potential substitutes for him in this squad, you're looking at probably one of Joe Scally or Alex Freeman, but both of them have been playing right center back for the United States men's national team. Alex Freeman, he moved over to Villarreal back in January, and he hasn't really been playing all that consistently. But when you listen to Mauricio Pochettino talk about like players like Alex Freeman and most notably Giovanni Reyna, who aren't really getting a lot of minutes at club level, he says that you got to judge players differently. But you're looking at one of those two, or you're looking at one of the 5 center backs. They got probably Austin Trusty or Miles Robinson for those, because you also got Tim Ream, Chris Richards is in there. Mark McKenzie's been playing really well for Toulouse this season. This is just a very standard squad, minus the 3 injuries the United States has. The goalkeeper situation doesn't really surprise anybody. We know it's between Matt Freese and Matt Turner, with Matt Freese being the overwhelming favorite, though he did let in a pretty rough free kick from Lionel Messi the other week, so that's not ideal, but those two are the clear favorites for that. And you also got Chris Brady, Roman Centenato as well, who withdrew from the squad, who actually Patrick Schulte replaced in the squad. That battle for that third goalkeeping spot is going to be a very, very interesting one. I still look at the whole Zach Steffen situation from last year and go like, wow, what could have happened had he not been sick in the third place game against Canada? And he could realistically be the guy, and if he didn't get hurt prior to the Gold Cup, then what could have Zach Steffen's future been like with the national team rather than Matt Freese, who again is now the front runner to be the number 1 starter for the United States going into this World Cup. But then you look at the rest of the back line as well. Anthony Robinson's back in the squad. He's starting to get revved up back at Fulham. He's been battling a crap ton of injuries this past season. Like when we did our World Cup squad prediction back in December, I didn't even include Anthony Robinson in the squad because we didn't know what his long-term health was. It felt like every single camp that he got invited to for the United States men's national team, he would withdraw due to injuries. And whether they were more precautionary or if he just couldn't flat out play, he wasn't involved in the squad. You know the old saying, the best ability is availability. But if he's going and running, and we said this during the video as well, if he's up and firing, there's no way he's not starting, let alone on the roster. But then you got Max Arston in there as well as one of Mitchell Pochettino's favorite players in the squad. Tim Ream, Chris Richards, already talked about those guys. 2 of the first guys you're going to see on the team sheet, especially with Chris Richards being there. Going into the midfield, we've already talked about Aiden Morris, but Tanner Tessman, Johnny Cardoso, they're going to get some big minutes in here. Johnny Cardoso is starting to get more playing time, more consistent playing time, I should say, for Atletico Madrid. Kind of was in the wilderness for a time period there at Atletico, but he's starting to get more consistent playing time. And for the United States, he's struggled immensely. I didn't even include him in the World Cup squad prediction back in December because it had nothing to do with injury. It was he wasn't playing for club level. And the past few appearances we saw for the United States, he had struggled, very much so struggled. So I'm intrigued to see how he looks in the squad because talent-wise, he's good enough, more than good enough to be on the squad. I mean, how many times can we sit here and say that the United States has a player that's consistently playing in the Champions League for Atletico Madrid, and he's not making the squad because of his performances in the United States? It's a very weird system to be in for him. And then if you look at Tanner Tessman, he hasn't been getting that much consistent playing time. I know he's been playing, but the consistency and the amount of minutes that he's getting has been inconsistent for Lyon the past few months. So I'm intrigued to see how those two do. And Aiden Morris, as we talked about again, has been playing really well for Middlesbrough. You also got Malik Tillman in there, who's only got 1 goal since January 31st. It was actually the last game that Bayer Leverkusen played. But for what he's not providing in goals right now, and he's still got a good amount, nothing like world beating or anything. I think he's got 5 goals to his name this season, which is nothing fantastic, but hey, it's not terrible either because what he's lacking in goal, he makes up in work rate. And we've talked about that before with Malik Tillman. He's second on the team in tackles per 90 for Bayer Leverkusen this season. So that kind of effort from the front is big for the United States. You also got Weston McKennie, who's, this is such a weird stat to me. He's second all time in Juventus goal scorers in the Champions League for midfielders. He's one behind Pavel Nedved. You know, the guy who won the Ballon d'Or? Yeah, he's one behind him. And based, if you scrolled on Twitter for 5 seconds, you got some people on there talking absolutely crazy about Weston McKennie, or have talked crazy about Weston McKennie. And I've seen people recently, though, talk about how he might be the most important player on this United States men's national team with how he's been playing for Juventus. And I know they got knocked out by Galatasaray in the Champions League, but that goal that he scored to keep them in that game, to force extra time, was massive. He's just been playing awesome for them this year. And they're not a very good team. They're not. Just keeping it straightforward with it. They're not a good football team. But you know what? They're playing. He has been consistently playing. He doesn't matter where he's lined up. He'll make plays for Juventus. And yeah, and then you also got Giovanni Reyna in there as well, who we've talked about before. With the lack of minutes that he's had in Borussia Mönchengladbach, he's going to keep getting playing time with the United States. Mauricio Pochettino has rated him. He played well in the last friendlies that they had, so I like to see Giovanni Reyna consistently getting more minutes for the United States, because we know how talented he is, regardless if he's getting those minutes at club level. Then you got the MLS guys, Sebastian Berhalter and Christian Roldan, two guys that I had in my last World Cup squad. I do feel like Sebastian Berhalter's spot, I don't want to say locked, but it feels pretty secure, because he provides something to the United States that no other player can, and that's set pieces. He's by far and away the best set piece specialist the United States has at their disposal, so I think he'll be in there. And Christian Roldan, he's like this is, again, I don't want to compare them as players. I'm just talking about how managers view them. He kind of reminds me of like a Mason Mount type player, where it doesn't matter who the manager is, he'll always be in and around the squad. They just love playing him. I mean, you're going back to England as well. They just love playing Mason Mount. They love his work rate from the front. And that's kind of how Christian Roldan is, not from the front. Again, I'm not comparing them as players. I'm not comparing Christian Roldan and Mason Mount as players. I'm just comparing them how managers just seem to love having them around. So I think he has a very good chance at making the squad. And if you had again said that Christian Roldan has a better chance at making the World Cup squad than Johnny Cardoso, I would have called you crazy, but that kind of feels what the case is at this point in time. And then the attackers, we've already talked about all the strikers that we got there. Balogun, Pepe, Ajimang are still in there. Christian Pulisic, who's been, him and Rafael Leao did not really get along, but you also got Timothy Weah, who's been playing consistently at right back, not right wing back, right back for Marseille and Ligue 1. And then you got Brendan Aronson, who was playing really well for Leeds in the early portion of the season, even the middle of the portion of the season, but he's kind of dipped off in form recently. Like, he hasn't played a full 90 since December, and he hasn't scored a goal since early January, where he scored 2 against Newcastle. So he's kind of dipped in that form chart, but I think Brendan Aronson provides that little spark off the bench. I mean, we've seen that throughout his entire United States men's national team career, how he's able to provide that spark off the bench. I think that could still prove vital in the squad. But if you're looking at more like question marks, like people that did not make the squad or people are not in the squad, the first one right now it's getting on everybody's attention is Noah Kai Banks, who's apparently deciding between the United States to represent the United States and Germany. The United States, remember, already lost out on Nathaniel Brown, which that one shouldn't be that surprising. I mean, if you look at Germany's left back options, they're not really sport for choice in that category. So if you're him, I don't even think it's like you want to represent the bigger name, you would play for that. No, he would be the backup to Anthony Robinson. I know there's injury history in there, but he'd be the backup to him, or he could potentially start for Germany. Like, I don't want to put the United States down or anything, but I'd rather start than be a backup. So I don't really blame him for choosing Germany over the United States, but Noah Kai Banks has represented the United States at U17, U19, and U20 level. So this one's been kind of harder to swallow, especially since he's such a young, talented center back that would fit perfectly in Mauricio Pochettino's back three. That one's going to sting. If Noah Kai Banks does end up choosing Germany over the United States, it's going to hurt. But at the same time, just let the dude decide on what he wants to do. You know what's not going to help his choice, or maybe it makes a choice even easier to not represent the United States, is legends coming out there and saying good riddance if he's not going to join the United States. Why would you join a team? Because what if he does, like, hypothetically, what if he does end up joining the United States men's national team and Landon Donovan shoved his foot up his ass again or put his foot in his mouth, about like, oh, good riddance, if he's going to decide between... Let him choose. He's 19 years old. He's a child. If he winds up choosing Germany, then fine. That's going to suck, and I don't want him to choose Germany, but we don't need to go out there and start saying good riddance before he's even made a decision on what his national team future is. It's a massive, massive, massive decision. Let him just choose. Let him go about it, and then you can decide. You can go say good riddance after he chooses Germany. I don't care, but don't say that before he's made the announcement. So why would he want to join the United States now if he knows that's how former legends are going to talk about him? Like, I don't get that. There's no point to doing that. And then you also got Diego Luna in this conversation as well. Different conversation, but not being involved in the squad. And if you go back to December, he was the Gold Cup and all that. He was a fan favorite. He was a guy that a lot of people are like, this is how we want to represent. This is how we want the United States men's national team represented. Playing for the jersey at all times. Doing everything you can to see your team win. And he's not involved in the squad. And he was very much involved in the kit promotional videos and stuff like that. So that's been kind of a surprise in a sense. Is he one of the best players the United States has? I'm sure there's going to be some people out there that say, I think he's a good player. But when I sit there and go, he's one of the best players. Like, I remember people talking about, oh, he's going to be one of the first names on the team sheet. And I never really bought into that. I thought he was a good player, good, like let's get behind him type guy. But I'm not surprised that he's not in the squad, and that kind of puts his World Cup place in jeopardy. So I'm intrigued to see how that goes about as the rest of the MLS season goes on prior to May 11th. He's going to be involved in the preliminary squad, I would imagine, because it's like a 55-man squad or something. Unless Pochettino's like, screw it, we're just dropping the World Cup squad right now. We're not even worried about a preliminary squad. Because right here is the World Cup squad. So unless he does that, then we'll see. But it looks very unlikely that he's going to be in the final World Cup squad come May 30th. But as for Belgium, we already talked about Romelu Lukaku's withdrew due to fitness. He wants to focus on his fitness prior to the World Cup. Thibaut Courtois is also out due to injury. Leandro Trossard's also withdrew from the squad due to injury as well. So 3 key players for Belgium are out. But if you look at the attacking options, the midfield options, that's where they're the strongest at. Again, you still got Kevin De Bruyne there. Axel Witsel still kicking it in there. Amadou Onana for Aston Villa. Yuri Tielemans, the captain, who's main captain of the Belgian national team back in September. In the attacking front, Jeremy Doku is a very dangerous player. Yes, his end product is kind of questionable, but the way he drives at defenders is very scary. He's very hard to track. He's very hard to stay in front of. And the output will come. It will. He's still a very, very young player, but he's so dangerous. He did score 2 goals and register an assist in their 7-0 win against Liechtenstein. But you look at other players like Salamakers for AC Milan's been playing really well at right wing back there. Charles De Ketelaere has been playing well for Atalanta. So they've got good pieces there. The defense is still not ideal. It's never been the greatest part of Belgium's team in the recent years. And it's usually been the fullbacks. Right now it's the center backs. Well, I guess you could include the fullbacks in there. Thomas Meunier is still involved in the squad. Timothy Castagne is involved in the squad as well. The center backs that's one of the bigger question marks, as well as the goalkeeper right now. I'd imagine it's either going to be Matt Sells or Sene Lammens for Manchester United, and net for Belgium. Lammens has got one cap for Belgium at this point in time. He's been playing great for Manchester United since coming over and replacing Altay Bayindir and Andre Onana, which has been a godsend for Manchester United. But Belgium's still going to be a dangerous team. They might not be the same team that we saw years ago that was constantly getting talked about as being the best national team on paper in the world. They've still got some older players still kicking around there again. Kevin De Bruyne, Axel Witsel, and I'm intrigued to see how they utilize these guys in this game against the United States, and I'm intrigued to see how the United States attacks Belgium's backline, because if they get past the midfield, I don't trust Belgium's backline. I just don't. And again, good players in the midfield, got some solid enough players in attack. Jeremy Doku will be a dangerous threat. I don't know if they're going to line him up on the left or right, but regardless, it's going to be an interesting game. We'll talk about more about the Portugal game coming up. But if we're looking at a starting lineup for the United States going into this game against Belgium, Matt Freese, you'd have to start in net. And you're going to look at a 5-2-3 or 5-2-2-1 formation or something like that, or 3-4-2-1 formation, however you want to look at it, for the United States men's national team. And Matt Freese will start in net. That one's pretty straightforward. At right wing back, I'm going to go with Timothy Weah. Alex Freeman could be within a shout there. Joe Scally, I think him and Anders or Freeman have a better chance at starting at right center back. But, time could tell. Time could tell at this point in time. But, going with Tim Weah at right wing back. Right center back, I'm going to go with Mark McKenzie at this point in time. He's been playing really well for Toulouse, and I think, again, the consistent play time could be big in regards to the first starting lineup in this game. So we're going to go with Mark McKenzie there. Could, again, be Joe Scally or Alex Freeman. If you look back to my squad prediction in December, Joe Scally and Alex Freeman were my 2 guys at this right center back spot, and they could still be the options there, especially with how athletic they are. And maybe you want to throw in Alex Freeman to keep up with Jeremy Doku on that right-hand side, or the left-hand side for Belgium, right-hand side for the United States, whatever, it doesn't matter. But if you look at the 2 other center backs, obviously Chris Richards, left center back, obviously Tim Ream. Those are two guys that are just ever present under Mauricio Pochettino at those two center back spots. Left wing back, obviously, is Anthony Robinson. If he's healthy, Max Armstead, I wouldn't be shocked if he's going to start there. He's been playing well for Columbus Crew, and again, Mauricio Pochettino really likes him. He really likes him. And I do think as well, I want to point this out while we move into the midfield. You're looking at, I would imagine, anyways, the midfield duos, Tanner Tessman and Johnny Cardoso. I would imagine that's what it is. But there's also part of me that wouldn't be shocked if Tanner Tessman started at right center back and we saw a midfield duo of Cardoso and Aiden Morris. Because in form-wise, those two, Morris and Cardoso, are much more in form right now than Tanner Tessman is. So maybe we see those, but again, with how much Pochettino loves himself, some Tanner Tessman, but Cardoso and Morris, I would go with Cardoso. He's a more naturally gifted player, so I would go with him there. At the right attacking mid spot, I mean, the front three kind of picks itself. Weston McKennie on the right, Christian Pulisic on the left, Balogun up the middle, and that'd be my starting lineup for the United States. I think it's a pretty straightforward lineup. I could see some tweaks in there. Again, Alex Freeman potentially starting at right wingback. Maybe Weston McKennie starts at right wingback. We've seen him do it for Juventus. And Tanner Tessman at right center back, Scally, Freeman, those guys could be in there as well. Maybe you see an Austin Trusty playing at that left center back spot. Maybe you see an Armstead playing Aiden Morris versus Tanner Tessman and Cardoso in midfield. Maybe we see a Berhalter starting those games. Maybe we see a Christian Roldan in there. But yeah, that's my thoughts on the United States versus Belgium preview. That's my thoughts on the squad. That's my thoughts on the players. That's my thoughts on everything. And that's my starting lineup and all that stuff. I do hope you enjoyed the video. We'll have another one out for you for Portugal. Should be out on Monday because the game against Portugal is on the 31st. So make sure to stay tuned for that. Yeah, leave a comment down below on why you feel, how you feel, why you feel the way you do, what you think, what you do, what are you doing? I don't know. Want to hang out later? I don't know. Just leave a comment down below on the squad in general, about the United States chances of the World Cup, about this friendly period that they have for the United States, about Noah Kai Banks, about Diego Luna, Christian Pulisic. It doesn't matter. Just let me know down in the comment section below. Also, again, make sure to check out all the links down in the description below as well, and make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel and give this video a thumbs up. I said I would remind you earlier. I'm going to remind you now. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. If you didn't, again, I'm so sorry. I apologize. I will try to be better next time. But anyways, I've been Logan Blackman, and I will see you guys later. Peace.